Tuesday, but I'm not sure if that's with the current mask mandates. And so if that does change or adjust, I will let everyone know as we continue on. But students will wash, sanitize their hands when they return from recess. A lot of teachers were already doing that because they would send the kids to the bathroom as soon as they would get back from recess. So that's not necessarily a new thing, especially the little guys who go right to their classroom. They do have bathroom, they do bathroom break afterwards. Obviously, we will do that on some type of schedule so that we are limiting the number of people in the bathroom. And also so that proper cleaning of the bathroom can occur throughout the day. Playground equipment will be disinfected after each recess use. After each recess or use. So if a class is out there for morning recess and playing on the recess equipment, we do have the equipment that they are using for camp to disinfect the playground equipment. So we will continue to do that throughout the school year after recess and each use. We do have a large property, and so we will be able to spread out without a problem. We'll be able to give zones with various activities. Each class will have their own bin of playground toys that we will provide. They are discouraging kids for bringing in their own toys, accounting of the not having time to properly disinfect it before other usage. So the idea is that they have zones to maintain the cohort, and each zone should have various activities because not every kid is going to want to play kickball or jump rope. So there will be options within the bins, and there are a couple of resources that I have been looking at for ideas in order to get some items to fill in those bins. I do know back in January or February, I had talked about with some of the teachers about creating a playground committee. And so with that, we will work together to create what is some ideas. There'll also be a rotation because it shouldn't be the same class always using, or same cohort always using the playground equipment. So we will have a rotation so that students get to take turns on the playground equipment. Any questions with that? All right. So the virtual learning. There are a couple different scenarios that virtual learning may occur. So virtual learning, if a student is homesick or a parent suspects the child might be sick, whether it is maybe they suspect them to, if they suspect them to maybe have COVID, or say they've been home but they're feeling better and they can log on, they will have the option of joining students their class with Google Meet. We will be working out the fine details of this and how this will work. I know I had mentioned to Mrs. Sabatini that we needed to look into options for doing this and how to do this within the classroom so the students have this option. So that is one way. And I'll talk about the modified attendance after I go through these different ways. So then in the case where the cohort has been dismissed from school, because there has been a case identified, the entire cohort would utilize the distant learning for the isolation period. And that isolation period would be determined by the health officials that are helping investigate the situation. And the lessons would be delivered through Google Meet using the Google Classroom, and students would follow the regular school schedule. And the reasoning for that is because if especially with the middle school, if the cohort is dismissed, but the other middle school classes are in, the middle school teachers are still operating on their schedule. So they would have to be able to be on when they don't have kids in their class or have a class. And then the third is, and this was in one of the documents that the Catholic Schools Onward had posted, that in a situation in which parents feel working from home is beneficial, that they're not comfortable with sending their child, we can set up the virtual learning, and they would also follow the school schedule in order for them to join the classes. Um, One of the classes this year, the teacher had a nickname so that the only time she didn't have to set up a new link each time. The kids just knew what the class code / nickname was. The kids logged on when it was time, and that's how they would log on. So they would have the list of these are the codes, and they would know when their schedule is. Now with that, there is the modified attendance. If a child is homesick, but they're logging on, they're going to get counted as being present for virtual learning. I'm not quite sure if there's going to be a distinction on the report card. They have not discussed that yet, but either way, they would be counted as present. And then there's the attendance for being physically in the building. The only way they'll be counted absent is if they are not online or not in the building. So they haven't logged on, they are sick, there's no way they can do the activity. They felt that it was very important that students home who might be sick but coming back in a couple of days, if they're feeling up to it, if they should be able to log on and get that credit. Any questions with the virtual learning? Now I know one of the questions that popped up last night was what happens if we end up being told we have to start the school year like that? What's going to happen with the classes that don't have devices, such as first and second? We are hoping that we are working on, we're not hoping, we are working on getting devices for first and second grade. And as soon as we would receive those devices, we would get those in the kids' hands. And so with that, there would be the ability to do that online component. And we would have some type of parent online tutorial along with the student to help with that. We are working on making sure we are in compliance with the state to be able to keep our early childhood open if we are in the yellow phase, which is the phase where daycare centers can start opening. So we are working on that so that the hope is in the event that we would have to close, that we would be able to say at least our pre-K and K would remain open. Google Meet works pretty much like Zoom. It's just, it works with Google Classroom. So it would be, the teacher would have some type of webcam, so they would be able to, and we would have it set up so that the class would be able to, the student at home would be able to view what was going on at the class that time. So it's similar to this setup. The teacher could share their screen if they're showing a slide. There would be ways of sharing that information so that they would be able to see what's going on. The pre-K, we would try to do, if the pre-K cohort had to be sent home because for an isolation period, we would do something similar to what we did this year, where yes, there would be a virtual component for them to do. We will be working on those details on how that is, if the stay-at-home orders are put back into place or if there is a cohort. We are working on making sure that one of the questions is there significant technology in place, cameras in the classrooms, microphones, to allow students to actively participate in the virtual classroom. We are working on those details to make sure that the classrooms are set up to be able to have the students be able to participate in the virtual classroom. So those are items that we have started investigating and are working towards, so that, because we do want them, if they are home, to be able to actively participate also. So those are in the works, and once those things have come through, we will start working on getting that information out to the parents also. Any other questions? All right, now I've got to X out of that. So this was a question, what happens if a confirmed case? And this was kind of along the lines of the communication. Communication will go out to families and staff immediately. We will follow the guidance of the Department of Health, what the archdiocese provides for us, what the nurse provides for us. Communication will go out so that families are aware. So with that, it won't say a name. It won't indicate, because we do have to keep privacy. We don't want it to be